Direct Service Garage Doors. We are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Northwest Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 479-203-5880, or visit our website at directservicenwa.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Let's get the imagery up. There we go. There he is, Mr. Otis Kirk. Gonna come along with us today. We're gonna get caught up on some recruiting. We're gonna talk a little bit about spring football. We heard from Sam Pittman yesterday, so we might kind of just go off the cuff a little bit and talk about a little bit of whatever. Otis, we were talking before we went live, man. It's been a minute. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to be back on here with you, man. I mean, we haven't hooked up lately on these shows, but we had fun last year during football season, and most games, not all games, we had fun. There was, I don't know if you call it a Liberty game where you freeze your butt off for the first half and then lose. If that was fun, but anyway, we made it, survived it.
That's right. We survived it. We certainly did that. And then, of course, fans were fans. They weren't super thrilled after that game, but listen, they found a way to top the year off at least with getting a win in their bowl game, back-to-back bowl wins for Arkansas. That's a little feather in your cap. That doesn't happen too often, so it's good to see that. And now we're into off season. Now we're here. We've gotten some interesting stuff happen throughout the course of this off season. Of course, you had the Shamar Easter. Was he going to commit? Was he not going to commit? You'd been saying all along you felt very good about Shamar Easter. Or sign. We knew he was committed. Was he going to sign with Arkansas? And he ended up signing with the Hogs, like you said he would all along. And then we come along, and so by the way, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Shout out to the sponsors. I don't want to forget about the sponsors, and of course, Patreon supporters, Direct Service Overhead, and Apex Tattoo Studio, and of course, myself and Dudley Dawson's one of our favorite locations in Springdale, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria. Can't not give them a shout out. Of course, I mean they paid for a shout out, but even if they weren't sponsors, I'd still be talking about the Odd Soul. That's a great place, Craft Bar and Pizzaria. All right, Arkansas has a very interesting. Well, really, I guess since yesterday, we find out yesterday that Arkansas apparently signed a former 5-star out of high school who signed with Georgia. And it turns out he signed his SEC papers talking about Mr. Singleton, 5-star defensive back. Otis, what do you know about this kid? What or this young man rather, and what are his prospects? How do you feel about him fitting into this defense?
Well, I think he'll fit in well. I mean, this kid was 5-star, played 2 games for Georgia. Didn't really. I mean, he's a true freshman. Didn't really set the world on fire there, but they had a lot of talent on that team. And like a lot of kids, he didn't want to wait his turn. And he was one of the prizes of their 22 class at Georgia.
Yeah.
He raised the number 2 cornerback by rivals and one of the top players in Florida, one of the top players in the nation. He's 6'2", 170, got good height. I'm sure they'll put more weight on him. He kind of came out of nowhere. But, I mean, really, honestly, anytime I see a kid from Georgia hit the transfer portal, I automatically think that's a possibility for Arkansas. I mean, it just has been. And that was a nice one. That was a nice pickup. Like I said, I didn't really see it coming, but that was a very nice pickup for the Razorbacks. They need safeties, and that's got to be a priority here with the 8 scholarships remaining. But you can't turn down a great player at any position. And I've said that on this show and everywhere else that I've ever talked. I've said you cannot turn down a great player at any position. You just can't do it.
Oh.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, safety would have been a bigger need. They've got McLaughlin, they've got McAdoo, you got Braxton, you got Lorando Johnson, but so a safety, and that's not even counting guys like Dallas Young and R.J. Johnson, but I think a safety is a bigger need right now, but it goes back to what I just said. You can't turn down a great player at any position. And McLaughlin's got one more year, so I mean, they're setting good. And they're going to put in some third down packages probably for Quincy to play a little receiver.
I heard that.
Yeah, he's basically a corner though. And he knows that's I think Quincy realizes now that's his meal ticket to the NFL. Cover corners they can blanket a receiver and cover them like he can. Those guys get rich one day. And receivers, I'm not saying receivers don't, but receivers are a lot more common than great cover corners. And I think Quincy's got a chance to be great. I look at what he did, considering he hadn't even practiced there, Ty, and he goes over there and plays that. I know that's getting off subject but it's in a way it is, but it really it's not, because Singletary, comes in and provides depth there, and who knows, he might beat somebody out, or they may find a way to get three corners on the field, and maybe in a nickel position or something. So it just comes back to this: they're never so full with great players you can't get more, and I think that. But I love Walcott at safety, Ty. I don't know if we've talked about that. I don't think I've been on here since he signed, but I love Al Walcott at safety from Baylor.
I was going to ask you. That's 6 defensive players they've signed out of the portal. John Morgan, Jeff Coate out of Mizzou, Morgan out of Pittsburgh, or out of Pitt. Sorry, Antonio Greer, South Florida. Lorando Johnson out of Baylor, Walcott at Baylor, and now Jaheim Singletary out of Georgia. Out of those, who do you feel like has the biggest impact year one for Arkansas on the defensive side of the ball?
I think it's easy to say Jeff Coate because he's already been all SEC, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Walcott. Yeah. I just think he's a stud. I mean, this is one of the nicest. I wish you could meet him because he's one of the nicest kids, and you will during the season. I mean, when they bring him into that media room that we go to, he's going to become a media favorite. I'm just telling you. Johnson doesn't talk, as I told Coach Woodson and Coach Wilson. Johnson doesn't talk. Walcott never stops talking. And so, I mean, they're the opposites, man. They're teammates, but they're opposites. When I interviewed them, I couldn't. It was like getting a gun and getting a word or two out of Lorando. And Johnson wasn't rude. He just doesn't talk. And they told me it's the same way over there. He just doesn't talk. But Walcott, I mean, he wouldn't stop. And I mean, it was great stuff. And not just that. I'm not just saying it because I just think he's 6'2", 220. I just think he's going to make a big impact. I think Morgan and Jeff Coate both will make big impacts. I think Greer has a great chance. And then, Johnson's the one I don't – if I was going to say, and it's not anything against Johnson because he's got some more eligibility. He's just, some of those guys like Walcott and Jeff Coate's got 1 year, Morgan, but I think Johnson's a good player. But he's the one that may not make as big an impact the first year as those other guys, Ty. But I think Walcott, or to answer your question, maybe Walcott, Morgan, or Jeff Coate would make the biggest impact. But then again, Greer. Dang, man. And I still think they're going to add an interior defensive tackle or two on that 8 scholarships. And I do think they'll add a safety or two. To me, I look at their roster right now. It's a little off subject, but I look at their roster in the 2 positions or the 2 spots, not necessarily positions because there's more than one. The safety and interior defensive line are where I see the biggest needs left in the 8 scholarships. I'd like to see them sign 1 or 2 defensive tackles and then certainly a couple of safeties. Because if you're throwing a nickel in there, even 1 interior defensive lineman, if you get the right one, but maybe 2 or 3 safeties and nickels. I just think they lost a lot of players there, man.
Yeah, I was intrigued by what Sam said yesterday about some of the needs, and he kind of went on and tied in a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's not too surprising considering you lost Trey Knox.
Yeah.
And they
have Hudson Henry.
And and Hudson Henry. They're going to have backs.
Yeah.
Right. Nathan Bax is back.
Yeah, Bax is back. I love Tyrus Washington. We watched him out there at practice make one-handed catches, balls thrown behind him, reaching back and catching with one hand. I love Tyrus Washington. And then the catch he made in the Liberty Bowl was huge.
He reminded me of now different kind of tight ends, but I remember watching Cheyenne O'Grady, kid out of Fayetteville, make catches.
Yeah, he does. He reminds you that catching the ball. Cheyenne could make, CJ could make catches that other people couldn't make. Now, and Tyrus, I think I love that catch he made in the Liberty Bowl when they had to win that game 3 times. He went down and caught that 17-yard touchdown pass from KJ, and I love that. And then Luke, look, Hayes, however you pronounce his name. I've heard it so many ways. Luke is a kid that I think is more ready to play than Shamar Easter because he's more physical, he's bigger. I think Easter may have a bigger long-term impact. I think Easter's going to be a great player for us.
Okay. So you think Haas is going to be the guy?
Yeah, I think he's a lot more ready to play immediately. He's more physical, bigger right now. I think he has a lot. I think both of them are great players. I think they're 2 of the best tight ends in the country, maybe the 2 best. But I think Luke is a kid that can play and make a much bigger impact this year than in the future. But then again, maybe 2 years down the road, if they're sophomores or redshirt sophomores or juniors, then Shamar may be a better player of the 2. It wouldn't surprise me. I think his upside is tremendous, and but I love those. I love the 4. I really like the 4 tight ends they've got. I could see where they would take another one. It may depend on. I think Sam kind of hinted it might depend on Luke's readiness or ability to play immediately, impact, immediately. But one thing I do like about Dan Enos, one of the things I like about Dan Enos is he will use the tight end more than Kendall did.
Yeah,
Kendall to me didn't have enough in his offense for the tight ends. I didn't like it. I liked Kendall's offense. I really did. I'm not going to sit here and act like I trashed the guy. Now he's gone. I'm not trashing him. I think I may have said that when he was here. There's things I liked about him. I mean, he had some strange calls. We've talked about that. You and I both defend him. It was just those 1 or 2 calls that drive you crazy, each game. And that we said that when he was here. So it's not talking about a guy when he's gone. But the thing I do like about Dan Enos, that year that he had, and I know he had a lot of talent there, but Hudson Henry and Jeremy Sprinkle at tight end, God, he used them a lot,
Yeah.
And that shows he's going to have some talent with Luke and Shamar in the future. Plus, with Morgan Turner, I think Morgan Turner is the best tight end coach in the country. I think Dow was a better recruiter than Morgan. I'm not saying Morgan's a bad recruiter or Dow was a bad coach, but I think Morgan Turner for the coaching, on the field coaching, is the best tight end coach in America.
Well, he's
proven that. Look at the NFL, man. He's got a ton of players up there. I think he's the best tight end coach in the country. Now, I hope he can recruit someone like Dow could, because Dow was a recruiting machine.
Yeah.
And Dow was not a bad coach, and Morgan's not a bad recruiter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think Morgan is the best tight end coach in the country. And I think he will get more out of the kids because he's just simply a better tight ends coach. I mean, Dow was a quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator. Tight end was something he did at Arkansas and did a good job with it and recruited his butt off. But I mean, there's no indication Jaden Ham wouldn't be here if he'd stayed. But I do think the kids that are here will benefit by Morgan Turner being here, Ty. I really do.
Speaking of the kids that are here, is the better question to ask who isn't here for spring camp? Because I think they've got everyone out of this freshman class.
There's 8 high school kids that are not here. Shamar is one.
That's right.
I don't know if I can name them off the top of my head. Let's see. The running back is not here.
Augusta or Augustave.
Dozier is not here. And I'm doing this from memory. Seems like one of the offensive
we didn't go over this before we went live, so that's my fault.
I've had this a million times. I don't think the big defensive tackle Ian is here. I'm pretty sure one of the linebackers is not here. I think it's the kid from Oxford. It's not here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's not here.
I'm blanking on names.
And but most of them are here. There's all but 8 are here.
Yeah.
And
Sanford,
and then of course
not here.
Singletary's not here either. So
yeah,
yeah. But
okay. Well, they've got. I mean, it's a pretty loaded. I thought for some reason I thought it was fewer. I thought it was like 4 players.
No, there's 8 that's not here.
Okay,
they signed 20 high school kids, and 8 and 12 made it to at midterm. But then they had 10 signees from transfer portal, and that's not counting kids like Marlon Crockett, a wide receiver from Memphis, the punter from Coffeyville, a transfer punter, kickoff specialist from Northern Colorado, a long snapper. They've got some walk-ons too. They have a chance to play. I mean, Devin Bale has a chance to be the kickoff guy or punt. I like the punter from Coffeyville. So, I mean, like the guys, I think that and Crockett as a kid just got hurt at Memphis. I loved him at Searcy. And then he went to Cabot and played his senior year. He helped Searcy win a state championship as a junior. And Searcy doesn't win state championships.
So if you're from Searcy, sometimes the truth just hurts. We're sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they didn't win much before, and they didn't win inside. That kid was a stud, man. And and he got hurt ACL over at Memphis right before his first year. And he never got untracked there. And he's a walk-on here. But I'm telling you, Warren Thompson came from Florida State as a preferred walk-on, earned a scholarship. I think Crockett may do the same. I really do. I love Crockett. He's 6'4", 210, Ty. He's got the size. He's big like those other kids that they signed. I mean, like the scholarship kid. He's just one that got lost, went to Memphis, got lost kind of with it, got injury, got behind, just never I don't know whether he wasn't motivated to catch up or he didn't or he kind of got buried there. They had a coaching change. Who knows? But it didn't work out for him, but that happens. Doesn't mean he can't be successful though in the future. And I think he will be.
Let's go back to recruiting here really quick. We already talked about Jaheim Singletary, so if you guys missed that, that's at the beginning. The 5-star that Sam Pittman talked about a little bit yesterday that did sign with Arkansas out of Georgia. What can you tell me about this other kid, this KJ Bolden kid? What can you tell me about him, and when is he visiting?
Well, he was here this past weekend for
that's right. Yeah,
unofficial. He was at the prospect day. He didn't answer the phone, so I think Steve Wilkphone is the only person he answered the phone for. I know other people, local recruiting guys, tried to get a hold of him, and none of us could. But KJ is a good player. Probably got an uphill battle to get him. But with Marcus Woodson and Darren Wilson, I don't count Arkansas out on too many kids. I mean, Travis Williams, those guys are great recruiters. Woodson's a stud, man.
Yeah.
I mean, God, he is a knock it. Out of the park guy. I mean, when Marcus Woodson goes on a kid, I don't ever count him out on anybody. I don't care if it's a 5-star from Georgia, like Bolden, or if it's a 10-star from the moon. I give him a chance at him. And Darren Wilson, God, he's got a good personality, and the kids love him. So it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to see. I think you've already seen. I don't think it's a matter of you're going to see. I think you've already seen these coaches on defense get kids in here for visits and land Singletary that I don't think they would have with the other staff. I just don't think Barry would have gotten Singletary. I don't think it would have happened.
Well, they did get Drew Sanders. They
got Drew Sanders. I don't know how much. I don't know what that wasn't Michael Shearer though. Michael Shearer was a heck of a recruiter. He was a heck of a recruiter. You won't hear me say he wasn't. All I heard was excuses from linebacker coaches for years here about couldn't get the linebackers, and then Michael comes in here and loads up that position. Now, Michael Shearer, I think, got Drew Sanders and was a heck of a recruiter. Mike could get any linebacker. He was the same way. If he went after a linebacker, I always felt like Mike had a shot. And that wasn't a shot at Barry. That was just I just think Woodson and Wilson have got ability to recruit that it's just unreal. I haven't seen that out of the Marcus Woodson is unbelievable, man.
Well, they've never recruited great in the secondary. I mean, they just
Well,
never have. They got
they
Monteric
had
Brown.
mistakes. They had some mistakes. They recruited a lot of players that just couldn't play here. And couldn't
Monteric
play on this
Brown,
one.
the only 5-star they've ever signed in the secondary that I can recall.
Yeah, and they signed kids that just didn't pan out. Part of that, in fairness, was that 2020 COVID year when they couldn't go out and evaluate.
Yeah.
You couldn't have camps. You had to evaluate off highlight tapes. And I'm telling you, evaluating off a highlight tape is tough because nobody is going to put bad plays on. If they got any sense, they're not going to put bad plays on a highlight tape.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's called a highlight. It's your highlights, your great plays. And that's what they do, man. And it's hard because you can't. The only way you could really recruit off of film is go get game film and watch a kid the entire game. And get 2 or 3. If you've got time to watch 2 or 3 games, you could evaluate that way, but just off a highlight tape, it's tough, man.
Or just go to the games, but that's coaches can't.
Well, now you can. They couldn't during the COVID, though. You couldn't go.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That was a tough year to evaluate, and it's not fair to be critical of anybody.
No. And when I mean like Arkansas's never recruited, I don't mean just Sam and his staff. Like this goes all the way back to as long as I can remember that I've been keeping up with recruiting, even as just a fan. They've never recruited at a very, very high level in the secondary. And that, again, that's not a slight on Sam. I think they've done a terrific job.
If Houston got Batman Carroll and Lawrence Richardson were probably the highest rated recruits in the secondary.
And Ahmad Carroll was a 5-star. Forget about that.
Batman was a 5, and Lawrence, I believe, was a high 4 or maybe a 5 with some service or not. But he was very both those kids were very highly recruited.
They were.
And Marvin Jackson, for a JUCO kid, was heavily recruited. But yeah, I mean, there's been some times where they've taken kids that just didn't, whatever, work out like that.
What can you tell me about this Brian Huff? I've kind of caught wind of him a little while back and was told to keep an eye on him. And I think you had mentioned him at one point.
Yeah, I love that kid. I think he's one of the best players in the state of Arkansas. And I've said if he wasn't in Valley View, if he was down in Little Rock or Benton or Northwest Arkansas, everybody would know about him. But and since then, Notre Dame, OU, LSU, and schools have found out about him, and they've offered him. And he's 6'4", 225. He may be 6'3". He likes to say he's 6'4", but whatever. He's big. He's big for a linebacker. He can run. He was here this weekend. He's been here numerous times. Brian, like I said, to me, Brian's is good. And I saw a deal with On 3 where they have the number 2 prospect in Arkansas in the 2024 class, right behind Charlie Collins. And you know what? I'm proud he's getting some publicity. I don't know if he's the second best recruit in the state in that class because you've got Braylon Russell, you've got T.J. Lindsey, you've got Courtney Crutchfield. It's a loaded class, but I'm proud he's getting. I mean, honestly, I think he deserves as much as anybody else, Ty. I really do. But it's good to see a kid out of Valley View because I'm telling you, I talk to people that don't even know where Valley View is, and the only reason, and I'm not trying be smart about it, but the only reason I know is I covered a state volleyball tournament there when I was still in Mena at the Mena Star. They had a state volleyball tournament in Valley View, Arkansas, and I drove up and covered it for the Mena Star. I've been to Valley View. That's the only reason I know where it's at, and it's up at Jonesboro. But he helped them to I want to say a 9-3 record. Brian Huff is a stud. I'm telling you, man. I think he's as good as anybody in the state. And that includes Charlie. And
he's not even listed.
Yeah, Well, On 3 has him the number 2 player. He made their top 300 yesterday.
Okay.
On 3 recruiting, they have him as the number 2 recruit in Arkansas, and they had him. They had Collins number 1. He was number 2.
Really?
Yeah. Walker White was number 3, I believe, and Braylon Russell was number 4. That was their top 300 kids in the nation, not, in the nation. They had 4 kids from Arkansas there. Lindsey wasn't there. Courtney Crutchfield from Pine Bluff wasn't there. Lindsey from Bryant. The kid, C.J. Brown from Bentonville wasn't on the list. But I'm telling you, there's about 7 to 10 kids in the state in this 2024 class. this may turn out to be the best class ever in Arkansas, Ty, at least in many a years. It is that good. It's the real deal.
That's a big statement because,
Well, I mean, you go back to Jarius Wright's class, that class
Yeah.
with Warren kids, that was a great class. And they did it on the field.
08.
So they did it on the field. So that's kind of a proven deal. Well, a lot of them did. All of them didn't.
Yeah.
But I do think on paper, this 2024 in Arkansas has a chance to be. I mean, there's Kobe, named after Kobe Bryant. Kobe Brown down at Southside, a big offensive lineman, got 9 offers. Not one from Arkansas. He's got A&M. And he's not even, he doesn't have an Arkansas offer. But, I mean, there's a kid with 9 offers, including SEC. I mean, there's other kids, too. There's just a lot of talent in that class. And I was proud to see Arkansas offer Grayson Wilson, the 2025 quarterback from Central Arkansas Christian on Saturday. That was a good offer because he's 6'3", 185, and he would not have been offered if Kendall Briles had stayed at Arkansas. He would not have been offered. Briles looked out of state. It's what happened to Walker White. He ignored him for the whole time, but he had the kid from Allen then in his pocket. He was going to get that kid. He was going to get him.
Yeah.
He moved to Frisco now, but
which I get, but I was always a little bit. I don't know. I kind of thought maybe they should have at least stayed in touch with Walker, and
oh yeah, I mean, I think sometimes you've got to give these Arkansas kids the benefit of the doubt, man. I mean, I'm proud. I've even said I wonder if Crutchfield and C.J. Brown would have been offered had Dan Enos not come back to Arkansas. And I know that's Kenny Guyton's area, but I love recruiting these Arkansas kids. I just think if they can play, I don't want to offer an Arkansas kid just because he's from Arkansas. But I'm telling you, Courtney Crutchfield, I saw him in the 9th grade. And why it took that long for colleges to find out about him, I have no idea. But I saw him in the 9th grade at 7-on-7 in Benton. And I said, this kid is a stud, and he's going to be a stud. And yet, nobody offered. And all of a sudden, somebody offered. Then everybody started offering.
Yeah, now he's a 4-star.
Why it took that long?
Now he's a 4-star.
Yeah, he should be a 4-star. He's a heck of a basketball player. He's one of the stars for the Pine Bluff basketball. I'm telling you, that kid is a great athlete. He came to camp up here. I missed that camp because I was at a funeral for my lawyer. But I came back expecting to hear they might have offered Courtney. And there was nothing even said about Courtney. And I'm thinking, this is like 2 years ago. And I was surprised. I don't know what it was people wasn't seeing in that kid because he could be a heck of I tell you who he reminds me of, and I told him this. He reminds me of Quincy McAdoo because he could be a heck of a cornerback in college. He's just as good a corner as he is a receiver.
And similar in size.
Yeah, he reminds me so much of Quincy McAdoo, Ty. And you know what I think about Quincy McAdoo, and that's who Courtney Crutchfield reminds me of. So, and that's a huge compliment to Courtney because but I fell in love with that kid the first time I saw him, and it was 7-on-7. But man, he was dominating. He picked off a pass at the end of the game, saved the win for his team. He caught touchdown passes. I just didn't see what people weren't seeing in him. I have yet to figure that one out. They don't throw the ball that much to him at Pine Bluff. But man, if Collins and some of those other kids had stayed there, they'd have pretty much had a heck of a team. But a lot of them left. But he stayed there. I'll give him credit for staying there and gotten it out.
I know you've been asked this, I'm sure a ton. I don't get as many questions about him since he committed to Auburn. But what do you know about Walker White's relationship with Dan Enos? And last I had heard, Arkansas wasn't giving up even though he committed to Auburn. Are they going to still actively recruit him? Like, what are they doing with Walker White? Is it just
they're going to recruit him. I don't think they'll flip him, but stranger things have happened. They're recruiting a Mitchell kid out of Alabama and Aaron Nolan out of Georgia. Right now, I think those are the two best shots at a quarterback in 2024. But no, they're not going to quit recruiting Walker. And I think his relationship with Enos is okay because Enos' first stop at Arkansas was to go to Little Rock Christian. I got to be careful because I talk about Little Rock Christian and Central Arkansas Christian, but it was Little Rock Christian. He went to see Walker. And then Walker came up that weekend and watched the basketball game sitting with Enos and Braylon Russell.
Oh,
and so they're going to keep recruiting him. Yeah, I mean, I think he got his. Well, I don't know if he got his feel. I don't know if that's the right word to say he got his feelings hurt. I think he just saw that Arkansas wasn't recruiting him like they should have, and I don't blame the kid. I don't blame him at all. And as I said, I don't think they'd offer Grayson Wilson had Brown State. For some reason, he wanted to go out of state and get all of his quarterbacks, and he did a heck of a job with Malachi. But I love that one. But regardless, I mean, but no, they'll keep recruiting Walker. Right now, I think the road is pretty tough to get him. I think they've got a pretty much a steep hill to climb there, but they're not going to stop unless he tells them to. I mean, obviously, if he said, hey, leave me alone, they'll do it. But there's a kid out of Alabama and one out of Georgia that they're recruiting. They're probably more realistic for the 2024 class. Yeah. Now, I think Grayson, and there again, you got the kid Joe T. Robinson in the 2025 class too. So, I mean, and then in 2026, you look down at Greenwood, and you got the kid there, Kane Archer. So there's some quarterbacks in the state of Arkansas, and that's even with Odom's son leaving, was going to be a highly recruited quarterback at Shiloh, and he's in Las Vegas now. But he has been to a prospect day since he moved, since his dad took that job. He's been to Arkansas, but I don't see him coming to Arkansas. Garrett Odom, I think he'll probably end up at UNLV with his dad, but he could end up somewhere.
If you guys have any questions or comments, please fire away. We'll get them to Otis. We've got a little bit more time here to burn. The last recruit I'm going to ask you about for now, and again, unless someone wants to, ask, what is the latest on? And you mentioned him a minute ago, sitting with Walker White. What is the latest on Braylon Russell? Odds of Arkansas maybe getting him to recommit?
Yeah, I think they'll get him. I think it's Arkansas or Tennessee. A lot of people disagree with me on that. They think Ole Miss or some other school, but I think Arkansas or Tennessee will get him. And I really think Braylon will be on. What I'm thinking, what I was told is he wasn't getting any offers. He was committed to Arkansas. He wasn't getting any offers. I think he said, I'm going to open this thing up. And now he's getting offers. But he wanted to be a Razorback, and there's still a chance that he could go elsewhere. I mean, when you start dealing with the NIL and all this other stuff, there's always a chance. But Braylon's been very respectful of Arkansas the whole time. I hear people, I say that, and people say, well, he committed, so he's not real respectful. Well, I mean, he didn't show him up or anything. I mean, he just said he maybe committed too early and he wanted to rethink his commitment. I don't think that's being disrespectful. Not what you want as a coach or or anything, but I mean, it was handled. I think it was handled in a good way. So I think Braylon is still real high on the Hogs, and they're high on him. But my gut says they will get him, and we'll see. And I talked to one of his friends. A lot of times, friends and stuff will give you more information than the kid will, because the friends like to let people know they're in the know. And he told me it would come down to Arkansas. This is a real good friend of brothers. He said it's going to come down to Arkansas and Tennessee at the end, no matter what other people say. And he said, I think Arkansas gets him. So that was coming straight from one of his best friends. So we'll see if things can change. Things can change. But so I'm not just throwing darts to come up with Arkansas and Tennessee. I have a reason for saying that. But I do feel good about Braylon. But, man, I know he's close to Walker. And there's some people think he'll go to Auburn, but we'll see. Jimmy Smith's a good recruiter, and Jimmy wants him. And Jimmy Smith's hard to turn down. That guy can recruit. I mean, he's a good one and a great coach. I think Jimmy has a chance to be, if not a head coach, certainly an offensive coordinator somewhere someday. I think he got a chance to be a head coach. I don't know. I mean, to me, he's got the whole package.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I hope they can keep him around for a little while longer, but he's not. They're not going to keep him here forever. I'm with you. He's going to move on and do some big things. Let's focus on spring really quick. Torrin Carter, Otis Kirk, he's back. I've already kind of talked about it. I know you have. I've talked about it on my live show last week, but since you and I are here together, let's talk about how important this is for Torrin Carter to be back on that defensive line. And by the way, Sam says he wants to go with a 4-man front.
Yeah, and that's great news, and I knew he was going to do that. But and you know, Carter, he said he felt like last year was the best interior defensive lineman he had, and I think when you combine him with Cam Ball, I think you're sitting pretty good there to start with. You know, depending on what Eric Gregory does, I think Eric's capable. And Sam said this yesterday, and something we already knew, that Eric's capable of playing all 4 positions. I still think they add out of the transfer portal, and but I love Cam Ball, and then Torrin Carter, man, he was tearing it up before he got hurt on that spring game last year in the Walker Pavilion, and he's got a chance if he's fully healthy. If he doesn't have any setbacks with that knee, if he's fully healthy by the fall, I mean, they're saying he cleared now, and he probably is, but I mean, if he's fully healthy in the fall with no restrictions, no drawbacks, he's got a chance to be really good on the interior for Arkansas. And that makes all the difference in the world. That's just like Sam said, that's like going to the transfer portal and getting a stud defensive tackle because the kid didn't play last year. So that's a new player. And that's like, you know, and so that's one right there that they didn't have last year that they'll have this year if everything goes right.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I think that's huge.
That's Eric Gregory, Cameron Ball, Torrin Carter, Nico Devier, Marcus Miller, who's mostly kind of not been a big piece, but maybe he will. And then you've got Ian Jaffrard, if I'm pronouncing that last name right.
Yeah. And Nico is playing some of that jack position too. He can play. I think he's like Eric. I think he can play anywhere. But it was weird because Sam mentioned Nico some with that jack position, that defensive end. Yeah, I think John Morgan III was made for that position, and probably Landon Jackson. And then that's why I think Eric will be inside, because I see Zach Williams and Jeff Coat on the other side. And that's not even guys like Jashad Stewart. I mean, they've got some ends, Ty. They've got defensive ends over there.
Yeah.
I think they've got some, and it's people who could play. It's not, and guys like Carter, Ball, Gregory, those guys can play. I just need some more bodies. They need more of them, more of those guys, you know. So, and that's why I think they'll get 1 or 2 more out of portal. But I do think if you start Carter and Ball, I think you're setting pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if Carter gets back to where he was during spring last year.
That's the key right there. You just said it. That's the key. We can talk about Carter, but if he's 90 or 80%, that's one thing. But if he gets back to where he was before they scrimmaged last April in that building and he got hurt, if he gets back to that point, he and Cam Ball will be one heck of a combination. I mean, that could be one of the best defensive tackle combos, and I love the 4-man front. I got so tired of seeing a 3-man front. You have 3 people going against 5, 6 offensive players. You know, I love the 4-man front.
I do too.
I love the 4-2-5. Get you a 4-2-5 and go with it. Get that nickel going, and you know, and get you somebody that can slide down there. And so it's going to be interesting to see who plays those positions, because there's going to be a lot of new players out there. And that's why tomorrow will be fun and be interesting, because it's going to be interesting to see who's playing where, who's hurt, who's out there. You know, I asked Sam yesterday who's hurt, and he avoided the question. I
saw that.
Yeah, he said he loved the question. Yeah, well, if you love it, answer the damn thing. But he didn't love it too much. But and I'm joking, but no, I mean, I get it. But he did say that Tykees Crawford and Rocket Sanders, I've had people ask me about them since they got hurt in the ball game. He did say both of them are full go. So that's good news right there. And he didn't know if, and I did ask about Tykees, is he a guard or a tackle? And he said that's the good things about spring is because, you know, you'll see. I think that could go either way. I think that could go either way. And I think it may depend on what Latham does. It may depend on, you know, well, it depends on a lot of things. It's not Tykees, but it depends on, you know, what Latham. You got Bo Limmer at center. But for the first time in about 3 years, they've actually got some battles on the offensive line. I mean,
they do.
You know, Luke Jones moved in at left tackle last year, and I mean, other than that, it was set. It was set the year before.
Yeah.
and with Myron Cunningham out there, and then when Myron left, Luke moved in there, and that was it. The rest of it was the same guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that they've got these battles. So the offensive line is going to be fun to watch, and I think, and it's not that they don't have people who can play. I think they've got a lot of people who can play. It's going to be figuring out the 5 best and getting them in the right spots may be the key. If Latham were to go to left tackle, then we would say, I think Bo Limmer's set at center. Other than that, I'm not sure a whole lot of stuff set on that offensive line as far as, I think Brady Latham will start, but I'm not sure he won't be the left tackle instead of left guard, but that's just me speculating. And I was going to ask that and forgot yesterday, but whatever, we'll see tomorrow.
Who are some players, and I've got 2 more questions after this, but we'll try to make them a little quick, but who are some players on the offensive side of the ball that you're going to be keeping an eye on? Because I know 2 players right off the top of my head that I cannot wait to see in a Razorback jersey tomorrow.
Well, I want to see those receivers, the wide receivers from the transfer portal, all 3 of those kids, and Crockett to boot. But I really want to see Armstrong, Slaw, and Broden. I want to see them. I want to see Luke at tight end. I want to see Tyrus, and all those guys like Amarian Harris on the offensive, all those guys. But, Andrew Chamley. See, I think Chamley's going to be – I told his parents this. I think the NFL is drooling over him because, he's a long kid long arms, tall kid, got great footwork. I think he's one that can be really good in the NFL one day. I think he's a left tackle waiting to happen in the NFL. I really do.
I'll tell you who I'm curious to see, and you already kind of mentioned it about the wide receivers, but it's the wide receiver out of Fayetteville. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how well he ends up doing.
Yeah.
Isaiah Centenia. That's going to be the guy. Like, this is his moment. He's going to be a redshirt freshman. When he committed last year and signed and was on campus. That was one of the biggest questions was, where does he end up in this roster? And I kept saying all offseason, look, guys, I don't know. He's not going to burn his red shirt. They're not going to burn it. There's too many upperclassmen, too many transfers, This year kind of – and you could probably say the same because you are going to have several transfers at wide receiver. But you kind of feel like maybe this is his chance, and I would love to watch – I want to keep an eye on him through spring camp. And if I'm not there, then I want to read as much as I can and watch as much as I can because I'm very fascinated to see how well
he Wilson and Bryce Stevens are 3 kids that – and maybe you could put Mbake in that list too. Those are kids that need to be in there. They need to make their showing. I'm not saying they need to play. The best ones are going to play, but this is their chance to make a move. Because last year with Hazelwood, Landers, and you had Hazelwood, you had Landers, you had Keytron. I don't know if these kids had a chance to start, and they knew it, Ty.
Yeah.
Barring an injury. I think they knew that it never changed. Whereas this year, it's starting off fresh. And those returning players, Isaiah, maybe at the top of the list, but Jaden and Stevens and Mbake, they really need to show something this spring, what they can do. Dozier will be here in the summer. I'll tell you a kid, though, that we haven't mentioned on here that I am going to be interested in watching. Both of them, actually, but Jacoby Criswell and Malachi Singleton, simply because I think the backup quarterback position is light years better than it was last year. I thought it stunk last year. I was not a fan of playing Hornsby and those guys. I didn't think they were that good. I said it on here. I'm not going to back down from it. I know people get hung up on their star rankings out of high school, but when I sit and watch a kid and he's no better in 3 years, and I don't put it on Kendall Briles' development and I heard a lot of people, I heard some intelligent people putting it on Kendall Briles didn't develop him. Well, he developed KJ Jefferson. Because he was ready to play when Felipe Franks went down in game 9 at Missouri in 2020. KJ goes in there and has the best game of any quarterback all season, better than Felipe. And Felipe was a stud. And KJ went in there and played better. So he developed him. Now, I'm not putting that on KJ. On Kendall. I'm putting that back on just simply. I don't think Malik was as good as he was supposed to be. And it's not a knock. We'll see what he does at Texas State.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned Jacoby.
That's great. As far as I know, he's a great kid.
Yeah. You mentioned Jacoby Criswell. That's that's my other guy that I can't wait to see.
Okay.
in
Well,
a
that makes
Razorback
sense
jersey.
because I think if KJ goes down and, with a running quarterback and with a quarterback, there's always a chance they could. And
Yeah.
I think Jacoby, I saw him at Morrilton, and I really felt like I saw Jacoby Criswell, Chandler Morris, and the kid out of Longview that went to A&M, the quarterback that went to A&M. They were all three pretty heavily recruited by Arkansas. They were all heavily recruited, period. And I felt like I felt like Morris kind of did what Kendall did with Walker. I felt like Chad knew he was going to take his son and kind of ignored Criswell. Well, he did a lot of ignoring on Chris. I felt it was real similar to Browse and Walker White, what Chad Morris did to Jacoby Criswell.
Yeah.
And I think it's very similar situations. And I loved Criswell. I thought he was best one of the three, to be honest with you. And we'll see. I mean, he didn't. I hear people say, well, he didn't set the world on fire. He got behind one of the best quarterbacks. That kid at North Carolina is projected to possibly be the number one pick in the draft when he comes out. I mean, we're not talking about some dog. I mean, we're talking, well, I guess dog now is a good word, but it used to be bad. You were dog. Now you're a dog, you're a stud, man. So, but I mean, that kid at North Carolina is very good. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he got beat out twice. He got beat out by what was his name? Harwell.
Wasn't that as an incoming freshman though?
His first year he got beat out by that because he came in the same year, he came in the same year with that 4-star quarterback, if I remember right. He beat him out. Criswell got beat out. That Harwell, what the hell is that kid's name?
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he left, and then another freshman came in and beat him out. So from what I understand, both those, I mean, it was just like bad luck for Criswell. Now
it was.
It could be that he just wasn't up to par at the time. Could be that he wasn't really flowing with that offense. But I've watched film on him. I've talked to you about him. I've talked to other people who've watched him play. He's got it in him to be something special, but he's,
he can run and he got a strong arm and can throw. He is a very good quarterback. So, and if Arkansas has to play him, he may be a little rusty at first because he hasn't played much since high school, but he played some.
Yeah.
I think he'd have to adjust, but I think that's the value of being here this spring. I think that helps him. But we'll see. I mean, and then Malachi to me is going to be, if he sticks it out here like KJ did, I think Malachi is going to be a very good quarterback. Having Criswell and Hornsby, having Criswell and Malachi Singleton here makes me feel good, regardless of what they do in the class of 2024 quarterback. I'm not too stressed about that one. I mean, I know people want to know who the quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be KJ Jackson? Is it going to be Aaron Nolan? But to me, I'm not too worried about quarterback in that class. 2025 is important, and I think they'll get Grayson. We'll see who else they get. They may get Quentin Murphy too,
Oh boy. Oh no. We got a Lakers fan here. I hope our new 5-star is better than Sanders. And I've just become Otis top fan. Go Lakers, go.
You bet. Johnny Jones, that's a great question.
Different positions. Sanders.
Yeah, well, I'd be very happy if he's as good as Sanders.
Oh my
God. I thought Sanders pretty dang good, man. First round draft pick. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know about being better than him. Criswell. I mean, Hazelwood was a 5-star out of high school too. People forget that.
It's true.
It wasn't just Drew Sanders. Jaden Hazelwood was a 5-star out of high school as well.
He was. It was because of where he played, and also, if I understood correctly, he camped really well.
Yeah,
he went at those camps and did really well. And
here's the deal with Hazelwood. He's going to probably make it in the NFL because he's a good route runner. I know he didn't have a great 40-yard time, but I don't worry too much about that. And he dropped some passes. He was a little inconsistent there, but I don't worry too much about it. I still think Jaden has a chance to hook Otis. He's got a good attitude. He works hard.
Yeah.
And he can run you good routes, and he's not going to do a whole lot to get you beat. He's smart. He can run good routes. He's got some leadership ability. Look, man, if I'm running the pro team, I have no problem taking either Landers or Hazelwood. I think both of them. I think, they're different players, but I think both of them have a chance. I love Landers. I don't know what. I mean, he's got the size, the speed, and everything you're looking for. The hands.
I'm not gonna lie though. I did not see him dropping a 4.37 40. We watched him in practice. We knew he was fast.
Yeah,
I didn't see low or high.
I didn't know he was that fast. And Hazelwood running a 4.67, I believe. Is that right, Ty?
I think so. It was right. Yeah, it was
4.67, 4.69, something like that. I know it was over 4.6. I wasn't surprised with that because I never thought he was just a burner. But like I said, Hazelwood does the little intangible things that you look for in a player that maybe you don't. He's not a combine All-American, and he didn't get, but he did well when he went to camps, and but no, I think. Look, man, you get these kids. 5-stars have been missed and bust too, but I think you cut down on the margin of error if you get kids. Not mean they're all going to be. I mean, just like I said, once they signed the first day they signed Hazelwood, I said, people don't expect him. Don't come in here thinking he's going to be better than Burks. He's not. Burks was a 4-star.
Yeah.
I said, he's not going to be better than Traylon Burks. And the weird thing was, Jalen Hazelwood told people that. He said, I'm not better than Traylon Burks, And so all this stuff about rankings and 5-stars and stuff, it's great, but there's
it's not
more
the whole
than
world.
that.
Yeah, people do put a lot into that, and it is true though.
Too much into it. I've worked for every recruit. I haven't worked for On 3, but I've worked for Rivals and 24/7 and others. And I'm telling you, they don't understand those rankings are not anywhere close to an exact size. If they knew how some of those kids got ranked, they wouldn't put as much stock in. I'm just telling you that.
You saw TCU beat Michigan. Okay, the talent, the star rankings there got. Yeah, and I get it. Harbaugh's a garbage playoff coach. He's not good in the college football playoff. He's horrible. But
there's more to it than stars. I'm telling you,
man, so much more to
heart it. And a lot of stuff, and that's one thing I liked about Hazelwood more than his ranking was the intangibles. I just think he does some things that you can convert that will translate to the NFL, Ty, that can maybe keep him on a roster. I don't think he'll ever be a star in the NFL. To me, he wasn't a star in college, but I think he could be in an NFL. Landers, to me, reminds me of the kid from Mississippi State that went to the Seattle Seahawks. What is his name? The receiver at Seattle that's real fast and drops.
Oh my God!
Is it Metcalf?
I thought Metcalf played at Ole Miss.
Okay, you're right. He did. Ole Miss. Okay. Metcalf played at Ole Miss. Yeah, he did. I'm sorry. I was thinking Miss. He played at Ole Miss and went to the Seattle Seahawks. He dropped in the draft, but Landers reminds me a lot of him. He really does. There's a lot of teams that regretted not choosing Metcalf. Yeah, and he did play at Ole Miss. You're right. I'm sorry.
I think I made a video. I made a YouTube short on him, and I made the comment in the short. If 6'4", 200 pounds, and runs a high 4.3 40, who needs that? Who's looking for that? That's gonna be a lot of teams. I kind of hope this team behind me. You can't see them up on the shelf there, but I hope my Rams. I kind of hope they're interested, even though they've got some great receivers. Cooper Kupp is the GOAT right now. I think he's one of the top 2 receivers in the NFL. But why not add a little bit more size and speed to that offense with Sean McVay? But no, he made himself a paycheck. I mean, he went from, for me, Landers went from I wasn't sure he was going to get drafted to now he could be a legit fourth round receiver.
Yeah, if the Rams can get him on day 3, they're going to be in great shape, man.
I think that's a steal.
Whoever gets him, I said that about Cam Curl, man. I mean, I knew he could play. He played on some bad teams at Arkansas and stuff, and I knew Cam had a chance to really be special in the NFL, and he has been. There's a guy I'd love to see the Rams be able to pull over from Washington. It's Cam Curl, man. I'd love to see them get him.
Well, his rookie contract, I think, ends this year, if I'm not mistaken.
So too.
So we'll see
what happens with him.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
him.
I was going to ask you the final question, and we can make it quick. But Sam mentioned this being a very physical spring camp. They weren't physical last year. They weren't physical in fall camp. They weren't physical in spring camp.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting your
showed.
thoughts on that.
It showed in
It did
games
show.
too. I mean, they got whipped. You've got to be smart with that. Now, there's a difference between being physical and being dumb. I mean, you can be physical, but you can't go out there and get a bunch of ACL injuries here in the spring and then not have them for the season. So you've got to be smart. But there's a fine line there, and Sam has got to not cross that line, but get to the line and make sure it's more physical than it was last year. And I think not. I think they played soft at times last year, and I don't. I mean, blame it on whatever you want. Maybe blame it on not being physical in practice. Blame it on this. Blame it on the strength coach. You can blame it on that. But they got their butts whipped at Missouri, and Missouri should never whip them like they did on the field. And there were so many times they couldn't make 1 yard when they needed it. Part of that was Kendall, as good as he was, his play calling in situations like that got predictable. And he, it got predictable, and I think that played into it. But he could get creative, but in certain situations, in short yards, he'd get predictable. But I do like the idea of being more physical. But then again, you got to be smart with it, Ty. You can't be dumb, because if you get out here and get you a bunch of key players hurt this spring and they can't play in the fall, that's not a wise decision. So you got to be smart with it, man.
Maybe they split it up. Maybe
there's
maybe
a fine line. You got to get to that line, but not cross.
Yeah. Hey, final, and I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry. The month of June. Going back to recruiting really quick. Someone actually shot me a text. Don't forget to ask Otis about June. Is that going to be another commit-heavy month for Arkansas? Talking about high school recruiting.
Yeah, because you'll see a lot of official visits that whole month, and so they're going to bring these kids in. Bring them in for the visits in June. And when kids get here, when you get here in June, you're just, man, you see the campus, you get wined and dined, and it begins then. Some of these kids, by then, the recruiting has worn on them a little bit, and they're ready to make a decision and concentrate on their senior season, Ty. And so I think that's big. So June, it's been pretty slow for commitments. They've got Kavion Henderson, and that's it. I do think you'll get some more. Probably look for the red-white game, possibly, to get a commitment or two. And I'm not keeping names from you. I'm just saying, I'm not talking about anybody in specific. Just somebody, maybe one or two of these Arkansas kids or something. But I just think they'll start getting some commitments before then. But June, that's when you're going to see the numbers start to really climb up. It'll be busy, and it'll be a good month for them.
It's gonna be a good month for me and you, and creating content too. That's gonna
and then they got the camps during the summer. So June is never a slow time,
No, especially under Pittman. I mean, that's been his thing. He gets it all done right there around that time. So all right, well, he's Otis Kirk. I'm Ty Hudson. Otis, thanks for spending a little time with us this morning, man.
Thanks for asking me, man. Appreciate you anytime, Ty. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on. Really do.
No problem. I'll talk to you. Okay, he went. I was gonna say thanks for giving us all the insight. There's a lot there to kind of to think about, right? Thought he was right on a lot of what he said, especially talking about the physicality and the lack of that part of the game. Especially, it showed on the defensive side of the ball. They just were not physical, and it also showed on third and short. At times, it showed on the goal line. Second, third down and goal from the 1-2 yard line. Arkansas unable to get a push. Not being physical, not being strong. We didn't even get into all the coaching changes. There was a lot. I mean, we really could have gone on for probably another hour or maybe another 2 hours. I mean, there's so much to cover. But yeah, I think he brought it today. Otis absolutely brought the hammer, and he crushed it. Thank you guys for being here. That new logo is looking awesome. Yeah, thanks. I don't have it on this one. You could see I've got the other logo. I got to swap that out. But yeah, Otis is a good guy. Otis is I really enjoyed working with him and Dudley at Hogville. So Arkansas starts the media access to spring camp starts tomorrow. We had the Zoom call yesterday, and am I right on that? Tomorrow, yeah. Check my email here really quick. It's tomorrow at 3:45. Let's see. 3:45, March 9th. That's when the media will be given the opportunity. And then 6 p.m. we're going to hear from Sam Pittman again, and we're going to get some student athletes tomorrow. So that's at 6 p.m. So you'll start seeing those videos roll out if whoever you follow on YouTube. I don't know. I uploaded his Zoom call yesterday. I uploaded that on the Tusk Talk with Tide YouTube channel. Won't be able to upload all those because that's a lot, and I'm not always available to make all those Zoom calls, but it's always cool to be able to be in on those. But we're going to get them on March. The media will have access on March 9th, March 10th, the 14th, and the 16th. It looks like they're all either 4:10 p.m. practice viewing, 3:40, 3:45. So you will have plenty of coverage. So who's better, Mallett or Jefferson? Well, two different quarterbacks, though, right? I mean, two completely different kind of quarterbacks. Mallett, freak of an arm. That dude's arm strength was, and the confidence he had in his arm was pretty fantastic, right? Mallett couldn't run like Jefferson. No, he could not. But that offense, that he was in, that 2010 offense was pretty explosive, and he led the charge. Okay. Yeah, shout out to all the sponsors. Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, the Odd Soul, and Apex Tattoo Studio. You can see their logos here. The links are available for you down below this video. They're also available in our Discord if you guys want to go check them out. I think that's going to do it. We've got Auburn tomorrow night. My official pick is Auburn. I've got Auburn winning that game. I don't know. We didn't go over that on Monday. I don't know. It's not a very high confident pick. It feels like a coin flip kind of game. Arkansas has not looked that great these last couple times we've seen them play. It is a neutral floor, but I've got to go with. I think I'm going to go with Auburn. I think it's going to be I don't know what the score is going to be, but I think it's going to be a tight game. So, apparently they don't like Arkansas. They don't like Arkansas very much. I saw that. Someone posted that yesterday. One of their players made that comment. They don't like Arkansas. They got a chip on their shoulder, and they might have something to play for here. Arkansas, you'd feel like they would, and what you want to see them do is come out and play motivated. You want to see them execute on the floor. You want to give Arkansas fans a reason to be excited for the rest of March. You want to give something. You need that momentum, and it could start tomorrow. That momentum could start. I don't know. It is too little, too late for a lot of people, for a lot of fans. We have seen Musselman. There's something about the month of March for Musselman. Anything can happen. They could beat the hell out of Auburn, or it could be the other way around. I feel like I've said that so often in all these predictions. At least the last 6 games or so, where I'm just like, I don't know what to expect. I really don't know what to expect tomorrow. Just depends on what team shows up for the Razorbacks. If that offense that went on the road to Alabama, if that offense shows up, well, then, yeah, I'd take Arkansas probably by double digits. But I don't know. What about the defense? So this is going to be a fascinating game. I mean, they need to start building momentum, and why not start it in the SEC tournament? So, yeah. Scott Swindle says, honestly, I'm ready for football. I'll probably watch the game, but I don't care about it anymore. And that's every fan right now, or most fans. when the conversation comes up about Arkansas basketball, it's like, yeah, whatever. So what's the score of the midweek baseball game that has absolutely no bearing on the season? What's the score? Over caring about, the Razorback basketball in the month of March, and considering that Muss has turned it around late in seasons and gone on these runs, the difference being, and I had this conversation with someone in chat a couple weeks ago, I think, someone made the comment, well, Musselman, who cares, whatever, Musselman will get it figured out in March. We should know this. Sure, but the difference was you saw it leading into March, right? We didn't see it. We saw them kind of collapse, actually. They collapsed. They absolutely collapsed against Tennessee. They collapsed against Kentucky. We could go on a number of different scenarios and what happened and some of the specifics, but overall, the big takeaway is that Arkansas collapsed. So why not change the momentum? Why not switch it around and start against Auburn? Take care of business. Talent-wise, you're a better team. I would even argue coaching-wise, I think Musselman's a better coach than Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl's a good coach, no doubt about it. Really good coach. I'm not taking anything away from him. But let's switch the momentum and let's show fans, let's show the casuals who've given up on the season, look, we are capable of going on a run in the SEC tournament, and we're going to give you something to be really excited for in the NCAA tournament. Well, Ty, we said that about February 2. I'm to the point I won't pick them until they give me a reason to. The best part of the tournament is that it's not SEC play. What do you mean? Well, Ty, we said that about February. What do you mean? That Arkansas would turn it around? I mean, typically, if you don't have it figured out by February, or going into at least that second week of February, if you don't have it figured out, you're probably in some trouble. Now, it's not to say, a couple of years ago, I think, a couple of years ago, they did have some losses. I think they lost like 2 or 3 games in a row, and one of those you felt like they should have won, but you still saw a better product on the floor despite losing. You saw the turnaround, and then they won, and they went on this, of course, they went on that run to the Elite Eight, losing to Baylor. And then last year, they just turned it on in the month of February, and they kept it going all the way through until the Elite Eight. Yeah, I think I would like to see that turnaround start now. I would like to see that turnaround. I mean, you know what I mean? When I say turnaround, that postseason Musselman that we've seen before, it typically doesn't start really until the NCAA tournament. I'd like to see it kick in a little sooner. Why not? Why not at least make it to, and I know this is a mouthful, this is a lot to say, but why not make an effort to get to the SEC championship game? Again, just to show fans, look, there's something to cheer for here. I mean, there's always something to cheer for. They're your Razorbacks, right? But you know what I mean? Something to get excited for, right? Okay, that is going to do it. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys, Patreon supporters. I don't know if you guys saw that screen, but look at those. Oh, my goodness. Look at those green names, the highlighted names in the $8 plus club. And, of course, anyone who's a Patreon supporter. But that is the month of February right there. Look at you guys. It's a good-looking group right there. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Of course, our sponsors. Paul's going to – I'm going to let you out on this one, Paul. We're going to finish on this. Don't stone me, but – all right. Throw that up on the screen. What do you got for me, Paul? We're waiting. I just realized without that side screen, you can really see the whole room here. Oh, hey, by the way, there's the scroll at the bottom of the screen. How do you like that? Yeah? All right. I don't think we go far. Oh, that's it? That's all you got for me? I thought it was going to be some, I don't usually read the real long comments, but I thought you were going to give me like a half of a paragraph. Okay. I mean, I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think anyone's going to stone you for that, Paul. I think that's a pretty reasonable take right there. I don't see anything wrong with that. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Oh, there we go. There we go. Anticlimactic. That's right. We get booted from the SEC tournament tomorrow. And I don't think that's a hot take either. Like I said, I thought you were going to give me listen, Ty, it's going to happen. Arkansas is going to go on a run. We're going to do it. We're going to go to the SEC championship. We're going to get by Auburn. Then we're going to be A&M. Then we're going to go play for it all. That's what I was waiting on. Instead, you just give me the same thing that 80% of fans are saying right now. Come on, Paul. Come on. You're a Tusk Talk with Ty normie. You're a Tusk Talk with Ty I don't know, member in the Discord. I don't know. You're beyond the casual Tusk Talk with Ty viewer. Thought you were going to give me something spicy that I could get a hold of. I don't put that in Facebook groups. Don't put that in Facebook groups. You're going to be called a fake fan. Uh-oh. All right. So that is going to do it. This is a good show. It was fun. Again, shout out to Otis Kirk. You guys make sure you give him a little bit of love on social media. You know, the guy does a hell of a job. Works for, I did not mention Hogville, and that's my fault. I works for Hogville. Of course, he and Dudley Dawson, they kill it over there. John, a photographer. They do good stuff. So shout out to Hogville and Otis Kirk. And again, thanks to Otis for showing up and being here and giving a hell of an interview. And to you guys who came through. All right. I will see you, on the post game tomorrow. Yeah, this week, it's a busy week. Post game show tomorrow. And then Friday, we're gonna talk. We've got spring practice starts. It's here. This is like Christmas. So I'm ready for it. All right. I'll talk to you guys in Discord or tomorrow night. All right. I'll see you then.